Hi everyone and welcome back. Episode 7. This one's going to be about ways to break into being a pilot car operator or owner. First things, we'll get right into it. Make sure your car is ready for the miles and the long days ahead. A lot of guys will think that their car will be alright doing short runs, and the first time your car breaks down and you can't find another car or another pilot to take your load, you're basically finished. Your name will get out fast that you're leaving the truck broke down sitting on the side of the road till another pilot gets there, and they will find somebody very quickly to take over. But if your car is set and ready, you think it'll do it. I mean, there's guys out there that are running 1970s, early 80s Ford POSs, old cop cars. They're a number one selling item for a lot of the pilots out. They're cheap. You buy one. When it breaks down, you trade it in, or you sell it and you buy another one. So, but if your vehicle is ready to go, then you're good to go, and that'll be all right. So the first thing to get is a CB radio, your antenna, and external speaker. Get those items installed in your vehicle, working and ready to go. If you've never used a CB, a few ways that you can do it is a lot of times just find a local channel. The West Coast is the worst for the CB area. Most of the United States uses channel 19 for almost all interstate loads, trucking industry. Interstate 5 from the Canadian border to the Mexican border on I-5 is channel 17 until you get down to Lost Hills, California, Highway 46, and it goes to channel 15. And then when you get over the Grapevine and start into Los Angeles, you go to channel 17 or 19 or 15 or 21 or channel 3, which is where the tankers run. Channel 7 is the containers. They all kind of separate and go their own way there. So most guys, once you get over the top of the hill, they run 17 until they get to LA. Once you get out of LA, let's say you're going on east, you're going north to Las Vegas, it's channel 19. Interstate 10, Interstate 40, Interstate 60, those are all channel 19 out of LA. And then it's 19 from there until you get to New York City and everywhere else. So it's fairly easy once you leave the California or the West Coast area. And the reason that there's a difference there is, like here in Oregon, channel 19 back in the 70s channel 19 was a major channel for the lumber mills and the logging industry. So they decided to make 17 the interstate highway channel, and it's just always stuck there. I know you come into Oregon from Idaho on Interstate 84, you're on channel 19. Anyway, that's no problems. You'll find that as you get to go. But the best way to do it is turn your radio on at night when the locals are talking and just listen to them. Turn it on channel 17, 19, and listen to the drivers. Hopefully you're not offended by the language. It is quite nasty and pretty much filthy out there. It really is. Things have gotten better in the last few years because drivers aren't running the CB much anymore. I find a lot of drivers, if you watch the newer trucks coming out, they don't even have CB antennas on them. They've got satellite radio. And when you're listening to your satellite radio, your Sirius, your XM, it messes with, every time you key up the microphone to talk, it messes up your stereo. So Most of the time you have to shut your stereo off, which I suggest anyway if you're on a load. Don't even turn your stereo on. Even if there's nothing going on, maybe turn it on but way down in the background so you hear the CB over everything. But if you're offended, they're cussing like crazy, foul mouth, dirty stories, calling each other certain names. It's nasty. It really is. I'm ashamed to say that I've been in the business for 40 years, and it's hard to say that the guys have gone this far. But anyway, get a CB radio, get it working, get used to using it, keying up, talking to somebody. Even if you get your handheld radio and sit and talk to the kids or your wife, and just get used to keying up and talking. Key up, talk, unkey. Okay? As long as you're keyed up, no one else can talk to you. All right? So you got to remember to release your button. And I know it sounds stupid and it sounds crazy as to why I'm telling you that, but it's like putting on instructions on opening a box, don't cut your fingers when you open the box type of deal. Guys do it. They key it up, they hold the key down, and they sit there and wait for you to answer, and you're not answering. You have to release the key, the button, so they can talk and you can hear them. It only works one way. It's like a cell phone. You can't have two people talking at once on a cell phone. These are the same thing. It's a radio wave. One person talks at a time. And so just get used to using it first. And then find yourself a pilot car that will let you follow behind them if they're a chase. And stay chase for a while till you get used to it and get comfortable. But find a local that runs a lot of mobile homes in your area. And, if he gets one, have him call you up and say, hey, come on and go with us. And I would suggest they might offer you to ride along with them. Okay, that's fine. I would do it once or twice maybe. But the second or third time, tell him you want to follow and drive your own rig. Yes, it's going to cost you fuel, but you're going to get more out of it doing it yourself than sitting in the seat with him. Just follow along with them, listening to them on the CB. Don't say nothing unless they talk to you. After you've done that a couple of times and you're comfortable, you like the job, that's the biggest thing, is you're going to prove to yourself, oh my God, I can't handle these 12-hour days, 14-hour days in this running. I'm burned out, and it may not be the right job for you. So try going at it. Try it a few times. And if you're comfortable with it, if you like the job, if you like the people that you're dealing with right then invest in the sign, the flags, and the lights. Okay? Get those installed. And then on your next trip, ride along behind the other pilot with your lights and your flags on and your sign up. And you're going to notice a difference in the way the car handles. You're going to have a little more drag. I suggest putting the sign at 82 degrees. Okay? It's high enough that behind it can see the sign perfectly, but it's at an angle enough that up over your windshield, it hits it and deflects off without it being a barrier going down the road. You're not a wall. It's able to float. And I noticed a less than 0.4 of a gallon difference with my sign up than with it down. So there is a little bit of change in it. If it's straight up and down, you're going to lose a mile or 2 miles per gallon because you're basically causing so much air drag. It's like a brake. So put it at an angle. Get used to your lights, how they're flashing, and just run behind the other pilot. And then after you've done that a couple of times, then ask if you can do it. And let him follow behind you. You do all the talking to the driver. You take care of everything, clear left, clear right. You do the whole job yourself while the other pilot is back behind you keeping notes. And then when you're done, let him critique what you did. And if you're not doing well enough, he'll automatically take over and move you back to watch again. So it is a learning curve. If you're not in the transportation industry, you don't know how trucks react or act, how wide they have to swing. That's the biggest thing when you're going around, especially doing mobile homes and long beams. Mobile homes, sometimes they cut the corner so bad because they got 3 to 6 sets of axles underneath that trailer. They need to swing wide, and you have to know that where they're at every second when they're going around a corner. You have to make sure you let them know. So those are just a few ideas, or one idea of how to get into this business and learn. There is the Washington and the Utah state tests that if you one of those two tests or classes, it's a one-day class. I just found out that you can take them online. In Oregon, you cannot, because the Oregon test also allows you to be a flagger for construction. So there's a few other questions that are not on what you normally get in the Washington exam and the Utah exam. But that's just Oregon, where it's a little different up here, because now once you have your certificate, your Washington certificate, it also says on the back side, flagger certified. So you're able to be a flagger for construction companies and follow me trucks and things like that. But most all states right now, there's 13 states that require a certification. Some have their own requirements, which is fine. You take the test. You can only drive, though, in their state, unless the state next to you doesn't require a certification. Then you can go into that state. It's like Oregon. Oregon does not require a pilot car operator to have a certification. You can run Oregon and California all you want. California is probably the least of all of the requirements there is. So you can run Oregon and California all day long, but you run into Washington without that certificate, your butt's in trouble. You cannot run into Idaho. You cannot run into Nevada without the amber light permit. And those are things that you'll find on certain websites online. I'll try to get a set of all the links and put it on the website, pilotcarmap.com. And so you can go to those places and you can apply for your Nevada permit for your amber lights. Georgia requires an amber light permit, which is you have to get a money order and send it in, and they'll mail it to you. It takes about 4 to 6 weeks. Louisiana has one that you can do online. It's $10, and you get your permit right there online. So it's just a matter of following what the other pilots are wanting to tell you and teach you. Most pilots will be happy to let you come along. Check with some brokers in the area or online on Facebook, and ask if they've got a pilot in your area that you could follow behind and learn how to be a pilot. One, that will let them know that you're being taught right, because they know how this other pilot's working and they've dealt with them and they know they know they're decent, and they'll only put you with one that is good. So you do get trained right. I know I'm asked a lot by guys to ride along, to follow, and I'm happy to let them do it. To me it's just fine. I see a need for more and more pilots out here, and especially ones that have common sense. So it is hard to get all of that together, but then once you've done a few chases and maybe even made a few bucks doing it, then go out and do the same thing when the pilot has a lead job, a lead duty. and learn the lead end of it, how to do all the route survey, or not the route surveys, but following the routes of your load, how to follow the maps, and make sure you know how to read maps. That's the biggest thing. Don't go by your telephone or a GPS. Yes, they are close, but most of them do not do oversized loads. They don't do overpasses. There's a couple of them out there that do. A friend of mine just got a new program for his laptop that he's got in his. He's got a mount that comes up from the floor on the passenger side, and he's got his full-size laptop there. He's got a GPS little box that sits in his window, and he's got a full map right there, and it tells him, it beeps at him if the overpass ahead of him, you set it before you start your trip, you set your height to your load, and it actually beeps at him if it's registered how high that bridge is and you're going to hit it. It'll beep a half a mile before you get to it, so your driver has more than enough time to take that exit. I'm waiting for him to let me know what the program is and how it's been working. He's been using it for 2 weeks, and I don't know all the details yet. So until I know for sure that it does work and it will help, I was quite impressed with what I saw when I did a run with him. I was lead, he was chase on a couple loads going over to the coast here in Oregon, and it notified him when we were coming up to overpasses as to the heights before we got there. So it was quite nice, but I'll find out what it is, and later on I'll add it to the site. But that's just one way to learn how to do this business. It's an easy business to get into. It's cheap. You ain't gonna buy a restaurant for $2,500 or $2,000 and get into a restaurant or any other kind of business. You're not gonna buy a grocery store or a little market or a gas station. It's cheaper to get into than even running a janitorial service. If you went out right now and bought everything brand new off the shelf, online, whatever, the total cost of everything you need to start up would be $2,500. And then you just put them in your car. That's signs, lights, flags, CBs, external speakers, your flags, your triangles, your flares, everything. That's everything down for about $2,500. Now, if you're like me and you want to make sure that I like doing stuff myself, so I built my own frame for my sign. I built my own sign, but I had time. I'm retired. I like doing my own DIY, do-it-yourself stuff. But you can buy them on look on Craigslist. Amazon has some great prices. They don't have too many in the way of signs and the mounts. They've got the signs, but they don't have the mounts really. And depending on where you're going to mount your sign. Now, there's some states that allow for the sign to go across your bumper and across the rear bumper. Those are fine, but I can see here real soon they're going to be outlawed, so I wouldn't even go the expense of them. It's not that expensive, but your state has to allow them. If your state allows them, then the states around you usually will accept them. But if you go much further than 1 or 2 states away from you, you will be stopped, and your sign will have to go up on top somehow, or else you leave the load for another pilot. I know I'll get flack back from that one, but right now it's true. Most of the ones that are running just the bumper signs and the tailgate signs are in the Midwest. They are not allowed on the West Coast. I'll tell you that right now. They are writing, especially in Oregon and Washington, Idaho, and part of Northern California anyway. Southern California, I don't know how stickler they are yet, but they are getting there. And I know Oregon, it's a $500 fine. You will be dropped at that point to find another pilot with a roof mounted sign. So anyway, that's about it for this. Just that's one of the easiest ways to get out here and do this business and learn if you like it. I hope these are helping. I will find the links for everything that you might need. If you're the Midwest and you don't plan on coming to the West, there's really nothing you need other than your Georgia and Louisiana, and then Florida has its own requirements, so that one you will have to check your own. I've been told, and I don't know where they're getting their information by other pilots, that you have to have 36-inch cones. According to the federal law and according to the state of Florida, for the DOT requirements for a pilot car, it calls for 4 18-inch cones. But I have been jumped on many times saying that they require 36-inch cones. I have not seen or found that anywhere. So if you have a link to a Florida DOT that states you have to have a 36-inch cones, 4 of them, please let me know. I would love to be proved wrong, because I've looked at probably 200 different sites. I've dealt with Florida for 38 years, and it's always been 4 18-inch signs, so I don't know where the 36-inch signs are coming from. I run into Florida at least 10 times a year. I've got 18-inch cones. I have been inspected. I have never had anybody say anything about it. So they have never asked for 36-inch cones. The only states I've ever had problem has been Idaho and Utah. Idaho, because they want us for some reason to carry 4 sets of triangles, which is utterly asinine. Excuse my French. I carry 2 sets, and I'll tell them that, if they ask where's the other 2, I'll say, oh, they're over in the other storage unit. I'll have to get a whole bunch of stuff out. They'll say, okay, don't worry about it. But they, for some reason, require 4 sets of triangles. Not 1 set of 3, but 4 sets of 3. It's unrealistic. It's so much weight to carry for no reason, and they're only there to help if the driver doesn't have any. And that's a DOT regulation. They have to have a set. The only other one is Utah, where they require you to have red flags. If you go there with orange, they will make you stop at the border or at the port of entry, and you will have to change them. But that's it. That's the only requirements there are. Most of the states, you run red, you can run orange, whichever one you want. I run orange most of the time because they're easy to find at the truck stops. 1 set of flags will last you about 6 to 8 months, and then they start to get pretty frayed up, so you just buy a new set. They're $4 a piece, $5 a piece, and just go that route. So anyway, I hope this helped. Please leave your any questions below. Like and comment, and stay tuned for episode 7A, which I'm going to get into not required equipment, but some equipment that will help your trip go better as far as spending the nights. New lights are just out, so we'll get into that on that. So anyway, y'all have a good day. Take care. Drive safe. Talk to you later.